panel, money is not a dirty word, and for that we are very proud to propose. From the very beginning of the first speech, we can see a clear conflict in the first speaker's case when his main speech prioritizes talking about the moral obligation that we need to give back to the debate community, but at the same time he argued against our context, saying that there are also many opportunities in the community itself, right? But we don't think so. We think that if we truly have the moral obligation to give back to the community, then the area that we should be going into to contribute back to should be those rural areas where people don't have much access to the debate comparing to the city, right? But even if we take the case that if community has that much potential, which means that doing this activity gives him joy right now, right? We do not think that this joy may last very long because the fact that it is currently low paying, which means he is going to have to work for more long and stressful hours in order to afford basic necessities. This means that he will still face the same pressures on both sides of the house, and the marginal benefit of perhaps liking the job or slightly outweighed by the increase of financial stress that are over encompassing. And we don't think that this is the happiness or this is the obligation that the opposition side is talking about. But let's dig deeper into their main argument about obligation, right? On our side of the house, we believe that we have a moral obligation to provide for ourselves and our family financially, and we think that being responsible for ourselves is the basic requirement before all of the communal responsibilities. Being a talented debater doesn't mean that we learn from other people's sacrifices, as we might also go to a big private school that we will need to pay for, right? And even if we receive free teaching, it's voluntary by other debaters, which means we owe them nothing. But on the flip side, family has provided us the entire life, and given the potential financial hazards that we give you in our first speech, we have a responsibility to insulate them from such harms with a financial buffer net. And working at a high-paid job will allow Thành to buy his parents their first trip to maybe New York, or afford the best universities for the future kids. And we think that when he's able to give him and them to give them himself and them that, but willingly refuse to do so, then we don't think it's true. But even if they say that giving back to the community is that important, we don't think that it's exclusive to their side, right? Because we think that being a lawyer also brings more practical benefits to the societies, providing the justice that we need in order to do everything else in life. And we also think that by being a lawyer, then he may also have a bigger funding, which in the future will do more practical benefit to the debate community. But now let's move on to our argument as to why we think that monetizing our passion is a terrible idea, as we believe that making a career out of it will suck the joy out of it at the same time. Let me deconstruct a couple of reasons why this is the case. First of all, we think the reason why something becomes our passion is that we are able to do it on our own liking, i.e. having control over what we do and how we spend our time doing it, right? We think the problem with this is that when you make a career out of it, it will then become what other people want you to do and not what you want to do anymore. And now that Tang is beholden to the unfixed schedule of a newly founded debate community and practical goals and specific deadlines, if he wants to build something for himself in the community, this means that the freedom and control that he has is now significantly constrained. Second, we think that it's a passion of the time because it is an escape from the daily grind of the monotony of a job, right? But now the passion has become the grind itself that comes with a lot of baggage with it because of the anxieties of not being able to make money. The financial stresses are all wrapped in this, and the pressure from finding ourselves and actually becoming someone in the community, I think that would challenge the ability to make means at the end of it for Tang. And third, we think that the long hours that come from this are also a reason why the so-called passions are likely to fade away. We think that Tang is likely going to have to work for very long hours if opposition would want them to make enough money to afford rent in the status quo that we provided, that you guys agree with the low-paying freelance job that you want. We think that now each hour pays wasted, and it means that it's very immensely stressful, and it also becomes a lot more stressful, and eventually his relationship with the passions will likely fade away. We think that at least on our side we have a better access to passions where it is on his own terms, in his own time, and when he has enough money to afford to doing so. And for that reason, we're more than proud to propose.
To be able to stand here today and to be a mentor of the debaters, I owe it all to people like Tang who chooses to stay in the community. We have to understand that this multinational law firm does not lack resources, panel. They do not desperately need people like Tang. They can easily hire someone else as good as them. But the debate community in Vietnam, this budding, growing debate community that you're talking about, we need people with passion, with expertise that are willing to share and inspire millions of young other debaters. It is not money that we purely just need. It is the expertise, it is the stories, it is the passion that inspires people. And first of all, we would like to clarify that the debate community here is not in shambles like the proposition is trying to frame it as. Shows like The Debaters have truly increased the popularity of this sport, and it is becoming highly profitable as we see with schools hiring mentors and other debaters to be coaches of their school clubs. We see the potential and the prospect of this field. Sure, we acknowledge that the pay will not be as significantly high as a career in law right at this moment, but that is the trade-off we're willing to take in this debate, right? And we think that it is no naive that proposition is trying to push that a career in law will not be as stressful as a career in debate. We think that even if stress is something that comes along with this career, we have a unique value on our side, which I will prove in my second argument, that beats this idea. And even if you don't owe your community anything, right? The societal impact that we're able to bring, the fact that we can create more opportunities for people like Thang's position in the beginning is something that we're ready to bet on to win this debate. And panel, they try to paint this idea of monopolizing your hobbies as something so horrible, but recognize that the career in law that they're talking about is merely also an extension of those debate skills. I struggle to understand the difference between these two actions. Coming to our argument then, we would like to advocate for the personal fulfillment of Thang as well. We recognize that a career in law has significantly higher pay at this moment, and that is the trade-off we're willing to take. However, recognizing there's also financial prospect in debate that we've already established to you from the first speaker that we have. Proposition cannot stand up here and argue on the ground that Thang will be in financial doom if they chooses to pursue in debate projects. Now, two layers. Firstly, wealth is not the only important value you consider in your career choice. This is something you will spend most of your time doing. Fulfillment is something that is incredibly important. This comes from things like doing your job well or feeling valued by your employer, right? In this multinational law firm, Thang is just another employee. They, at best, exist as a valuable number in the system or in the resource that this company has. But in this community, Thang is a leader. Thang is someone that people look up to and is inspirational. I think all mentors here in the studio can relate to the gratification that you receive from seeing your students win a debate round. And this is something that they cannot get exclusively on our side. But to the second layer, right, we recognize the diminishing value of money. Money gets its inherent value from your ability to spend it, meaning the privileges you can afford from these money, right? A career in law that is so demanding and is so time-consuming that Thang doesn't even have the privilege of spending the money that they work intensively for is a job that we do not think is worth it. What is the point of abundant wealth if you don't even have time or the energy to spend these things? We would rather prioritize other values in this case, panel. The impact of this argument is that, firstly, career fulfillment is the direct determinant of Thang's happiness and well-being. Multiply this by a 4 to 5 year commitment that this law career will demand from them. We think it is a highly important criteria to consider in this debate. But second of all, this fulfillment is a key component to sustainable personal growth. It is seeing students joy in winning a round. It is seeing them making a change in this community that continuously drives Thang to improve their performance, to try even harder at making a change. This is an exclusive value that can only come from our side and that money cannot buy. It is only achievable if Thang chooses to pursue this debate. So proud to be opposition. Thank you.